NXT TakeOver Phoenix. What were you expecting? Like, NXT continues its greatness of let's go ahead, tell a show, tell a story, and get things going. So there was a lot of stuff going on in this show. Primarily, there was the NXT Awards they were doing, and yeah, there was a lot of award ceremonies. Like, I was surprised. I was surprised Kairi Sane won two awards. Like, I was voting for her for female competitor, but overall competitor, I thought that was going to go to Johnny Gargano. But yeah, and I think she was surprised. Like, she was in tears. I'm pretty sure they were like on the assumption, well, it's going to go to Johnny Gargano, and everyone. And then when the notes came in, it was like, huh. Okay, Kairi Sane, you won. And she had tears in her eyes and whatnot, and like, yeah, it was pretty emotional for her. But in the show, the pre-show got this gigantic black eye moment. For some reason, right out of nowhere, there's this moment on the show where Sam Roberts starts to blast on Bianca Belair out of nowhere. Like, 1 second they're praising her, then all of a sudden he stops and and looks like he's talking to his headphone, and then just says she's not takeover worthy. And then all of a sudden he just goes on this 2 minute or so rant, trashing everything about Bianca Belair, saying that she's a good athlete, but she's not on the level of a Sasha Banks or an Asuka or a Bayley or a Paige or contenders who vied for the title but didn't win it. It was like, okay, that was just strange. Like, that was just strange. Like, everyone was like wondering what the heck happened. Like, was it a shoot? Was it real? Was it a fake shoot moment to tell a story of underdogism, even though Bianca Belair's undefeated streak was going on at the time? So, yeah, everyone was like scratching their head trying to figure out what the heck happened. And I think even the pre-show panelists that were not Sam Roberts were like, what just happened? Like, did anyone tell them Sam Roberts was gonna shoot, or did Sam Roberts really break the rules and just shot at Bianca Belair? I don't know the full story. We'll probably get that more as later on, but I kind of have a feeling Sam Roberts is in trouble. And considering how people get very sensitive, especially nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries to tell WWE that Sam Roberts is secretly a racist because he's white and Bianca's black. And like, I had this talk with someone, not shooting at him, but like, he thought it was that, but I was like, I don't really think that was it. I think it might have been something else. Like, we just went a little back and forth on this. It was all right. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he hears this comment and then starts to think, yeah, Sam Roberts, you kind of have to go because of an accusation that may or may not be true. Yeah. So we get all these award ceremonies during the pre-show, and then we get the video package, and then we get right into our first match, the Undisputed Era versus the War Raiders, and the War Raiders ultimately come out with this huge extravagant entrance like it's a WrestleMania entrance. Special extravagant entrances are not even exclusive to TakeOver WrestleMania weekends. So yeah, it was pretty awesome to see the War Raiders get this huge gimmick-like entrance for them. And Kyle O'Reilly and Strong were in this as the tag team champions. And surprisingly, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish were not involved in this matchup. And let's just see if I can sum this up very quickly. It was phenomenally awesome. Like, I appreciate like especially Hanson. Like, how on earth is this guy so good? And yet, how is this guy so good for his size? Like, he's a massive giant, and yet he's moving like he's a cruiserweight. And that made me want to see, oh god, I want to see Hanson versus Killian Dane, because that would be an awesome match. If they let them go all out, it would be classic right then and there. Like, you got Hanson doing suicide dives, Killian Dane doing suicide dives, high flying maneuvers, cruiserweight like maneuvers. It was kind of insane to see these big, powerful people just go ahead and do all these insane flips and whatnot. To see them do this, it was kind of awesome. It was pretty awesome. And you got Roderick Strong and O'Reilly being as great as they are, and they take out the War Raiders and them go to war basically, and it was pretty insane. They had made a vow that they would all end up with championships at the end of the year, and sure enough, that ultimately jinxed them in long run, because the War Raiders, after a huge, what felt like over 20-minute matchup, and fans chanting, "Fight forever! Fight forever!" And sure enough, the War Raiders also got the victory and became the new NXT Tag Team Champions. And I kind of was rooting for the Undisputed Era. I wanted to see if NXT would do the thing where they give a big entrance to the War Raider to somebody, and ultimately not have the person with the big entrance win, because main roster Bill's done that like how many times? Like, let's see, Bray Wyatt, Triple H on several occasions. Yeah, those are the two most noticeable. CM Punk, he also got his the Cult of Personality entrance at WrestleMania 29, and yeah, even Undertaker is on that list, since he lost at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar in the most stupidest of ways. Moving on. So, yeah. I just love that the Undisputed Era's other compatriots, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish, did not help in this match. Like, I was expecting them to get involved in this, but no, Triple H was like, no, while that would make sense in some cases, we're going to see if Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly can hang on their own. And this match was... oh, man. Sorry, I'm a little tired. This match was insane. Like, you got all this chaos and all this athleticism and all this talent, and then you start to think, oh my god, they're all going to get called up in the future and they're all going to be ruined. Like, Vince won't see guys like the Undisputed Era as talented individuals. You'll just see them as a faction that needs to get beaten up every week. And you'll just see the War Raiders as just big dudes who can wrestle a little bit, but say that you're big dudes. You gotta do what big dudes do. You can't do what Killian Dane does. You can't do what you do. Because that would drive interest away from my favorites. And you're not my favorites. You're not big, muscular, tough man. You're not Roman Reigns. You're not Brock Lesnar. You're not the creative control people I hire for some reason, and I should probably contemplate why my life went crazy. But I refuse to accept defeat, so I'll just bankrupt the company by then. And, yeah. And I honestly thought when Kyle O'Reilly hit Roderick Strong, I thought that was going to be like, oh, are they going to do a dissension thing? Like, I really hope not. That's way too cool to do that. And I thought when Kyle O'Reilly shoved Roderick Strong, I thought that was a sign, but it was like, oh no, we gotta do this finisher thing now. And I was like, oh, they're doing that type of thing. Whereas, like, Luke Harper would smack Eric Rowan in the head and do this big clothesline thing back when they were in the Wyatt family. Yeah, it kind of was crazy, but still, there wasn't a sign of dissension. And then you get all this, and the War Raiders win. Yeah, sorry I'm yawning. It's been a long day. And the War Raiders win. They become champion, and they pose for Triple H in the iconic Triple H photo op. Yeah. And surprisingly, there was no NXT new signee guest. Like, everyone was hoping for, like, some people I knew were hoping for Chelsea Green, which I kept saying wasn't going to happen because Chelsea Green's character just doesn't fit to do that. If anything, she would probably go crazy like Nikki Cross. But I think the other component was Kusuda. Could he be the one? Well, no, his contract isn't up yet. And while he is scheduled to presumably go to WWE, I don't think New Japan will want him to go while he's still preparing for a match against Hiroshi Tanahashi last time I checked. So, yeah. Then we get Cassius Ohno versus Matt Riddle. And I love how they give Cassius Ohno, they don't call him up, even promote him, use that term loosely. They say, okay, look, let's be real, you're not going to really be the big guy in terms of momentum, in terms of whatnot. And we're going to tie into your disgruntlement and whatnot. And I love that they said, okay, even though you're basically a gigantic tool for us for the main event players we want to push in NXT, we're going to give you a story, we're going to give you personality, we're going to give you an identity, and while you will win matches in order to maintain a level of seriousness, you still ultimately be the guy that keeps putting over the main event talent. And I think Ono's kind of content being in that role. Like, if he's on the main roster, he's not going to really be anything. In fact, he'll probably be at catering at best because Vince will say, I don't have anything for him. And the highlight of that match between Cassius Ohno and Matt Riddle was, okay, so Ohno bites Riddle's toe. Yeah. And one of my fellow members of the Elite Wrestling was like, "Oh, so does Ohno have a foot fetish now?" And everyone was laughing at that. And I was like, eugh. But yeah, ultimately Ohno pretends to do a fist bump, and then like Matt Riddle doesn't fall for it, and then he hits a sleeper suplex and followed by several elbows to the face, making Ohno tap out to make it stop, and Riddle ultimately wins by technical submission KO. So that should say something. And there's an image on Twitter I saw where you see the boot connect with Matt Riddle's face, and it was like caved in almost. Like, I was like, his mouth is open. I'm surprised he did not lose some teeth. But I was like, the more I see Matt Riddle in the seriousness, even though he's playing the laid-back surfer-like gimmick, I was like, can they please just make him retire Lesnar? Can we please get that out of the way now? But yeah. All of a sudden, Velveteen Dream is on the show. Sadly, he is not competing. Damn you all. Everyone kept making that one complaint that Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole were not on the show. They were not on the show at all. Probably because they were busy doing that Worlds Collide tournament they're doing right now. But yeah, it was kind of hard to imagine an NXT TakeOver now without the Dream doing another iconic entrance and Adam Cole. They hinted that they were going to have a match eventually, which I look forward to. But yeah, now we get to Johnny Gargano Ciampa II to take on Ricochet for the North American Championship. And when we heard this match was going to happen, everyone was like, Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano may have an opponent. Yeah, and they continue to show Johnny Gargano's descent into darkness, showing that he's slowly but surely giving in to aligning with Tommaso Ciampa once more, but his wife is basically the only thing keeping him sane. And then you get to see his gear, and the designer even revealed that, yeah, it's based off of the Phoenix from the X-Men comic colors. And I was like, okay, that's hilarious. And like, yeah, this match between Ricochet and Johnny Gargano is the Dark Phoenix, and Ricochet dresses up as Spider-Man. And I'm surprised Will Ospreay has now wrote on Twitter saying, Ricochet! You stole my gimmick! because everyone likes to compare him to Spider-Man. In fact, I think there was a time Will Ospreay did wear Spider-Man-like color clothing in order to look like he was Spider-Man. But moving on. Anyways, Ricochet and Johnny TakeOver. This started off slow-paced, aggressive style, and then it just got all crazy and insane. We got flips and high-flying maneuvers. Ricochet just being phenomenal. Like, I want these guys to be successful when they get eventually promoted. But something tells me they'll be relegated to 205 Live. And while 205 Live has been doing better, everyone wants to see them hold world titles. The IC title, the US title. But because they're not in the weight class of these kind of titles, they're just cruiserweights to Vince. At least Triple H runs 205 Live. He'll be able to at least make them be treated seriously. But, yeah, Johnny TakeOver and Ricochet, the one and only. It was really insane to see this match go for as crazy as it was. They counted each other. They did moonsaults. Like, there's a moment where Johnny Gargano does a hurricanrana off of the top rope, and Ricochet lands on his feet, and I was like, he's not human, right? He's secretly an alien that can somehow bend their body in a way that makes no sense, right? Can bend their body like a snake. And sure enough, Gargano still continues his transformation to the dark side, where he tries to contemplate whether or not he should smash Ricochet's head in through the concrete floor like Tommaso Ciampa does, and eventually in the match he tries to look like he's trying to want to win the right way. Like, I have to do it. I need to do it the right way. I need to prove myself that I'm not like him. But ultimately, he suplexes Ricochet on the cement floor, and then right before he hits a DDT, John Gargano proclaims, "I win." And then TDE Wrestling posted a GIF just after the match where Tommaso Ciampa said the exact same thing weeks or so prior. And yeah, that should show how subtle they're being with this story. That Johnny Gargano is becoming the villain of the story. He's no longer being the hero. And Johnny Gargano shocks the world when he wins the North American Championship, and all is lost for the wrestling industry, because now the villain has a title who thinks he's a hero. So yeah, I was a little surprised Johnny Gargano won. I thought I was still going to go to Ricochet because they were going to somehow morph Johnny Gargano to fight Tommaso Ciampa at WrestleMania's TakeOver event. TakeOver New York, I think it was called. But no, they didn't do that. I was honestly expecting that, but looks like that's not the case. And also, the other highlight would be when Ricochet does the Johnny Escape maneuver, and yeah. And a lot of people, once again, are saying this. Why is Vince not caring? Like Vince, like I said, a lot of people are still in this state of not believing that Vince really saw NXT Blackpool UK TakeOver. Like NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool, they don't believe that Vince watched it. He just hired a guy to tweet his stuff out because I'm pretty sure he would replicate his best friend in the White House if he did that. So yeah. Then we get to Bianca Belair versus Sonya Baszler for the women's title. And this is when things got kind of uncomfortable when you realize the added element of what Sam Roberts was saying. Like, I have not watched a single Bianca Belair match, so this was my first match seeing her. And yeah, I heard that she uses her hair whip, which is exceedingly long. I'm expecting a haircut match eventually in the future for her when she gets called up, if they do it. But I love that Shayna Baszler, like someone pointed this out, like how come Shayna Baszler, no one else besides her finally used the hair whip against Bianca? And then an insane moment happens when Bianca uses the hair whip against her, and it like scars her rib, and I was like, what the hell is that whip made out of? There's no way it really cut her. Like, I don't know because I don't have that kind of hair, and I don't think anyone else wanted to test that out. But seriously, that hair really scarred her flesh. And we get Shayna Baszler dissecting Bianca Belair with the dissecting of the arms and trying to break her. And sure enough, because of the four horsewomen of the UFC era getting involved, besides Ronda Rousey, she's not NXT, but they're hinting at that four horsewomen dream match becoming the War of Apocalypse. Bianca surprises everyone with this strange power of her, where she starts to somehow counter the whole, where she sometimes starts to try and get up and stand up to fight the to fight the submission of Shayna Baszler. But yeah, ultimately Shayna puts her back in the finisher, but then ultimately Bianca Belair passes out. The ref calls for the bell, and Baszler and Shayna Baszler retains the title. Here's the thing about this ending. Now, I don't know the full context of this. I know Bianca was undefeated. It probably would have been cool. But here's the context that bugs me about the ending. It's not the fact that Shayna Baszler won was the ending. It was the fact that, okay, that comment by Sarah Roberts becomes more shady about everything. Like, there should have been a segment like afterwards in one of two ways. One, they should have showed Sarah Roberts say, I was wrong. I didn't think she could hang with Shayna Baszler. I didn't think she could overpower her a little bit, but I was wrong. She was right. Yada, 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 etc. Or if had she won, he would have admitted he was wrong and should have had more faith in her. But it never does that. They never cut back to that. I thought that was going to be like, if they had done that, that would have shown that this was all planned. But now it's like, was this planned? Like, that's the thing that bugged me. Like, does this mean the match was planned, or does that mean what happened with Sam Roberts was planned, or was it really a shoot? Because something tells me something might go wrong from this if it really was a shoot, and Triple H might be pissed. See that this guy is kind of mocking his child, basically, in terms of, the fact that he helped create these people. And then we get our main event of the evening, Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black. Now, the question was, how would this main event somehow hold off Ricochet and Johnny Gargano's match? Okay, here's the thing. While this match was great, it wasn't their best match together. And I'm going to be honest about that. Like, I loved how they did the slower, more dissect approach to this, and I loved the suspense, especially when Aleister Black kept kicking out. But I kept finding, like, this match should be way more crazier than I thought it would be. Like, yeah, and sure enough, I do love that Johnny Gargano's dark side motives are basically being replicated by Tommaso Ciampa, and I loved how they keep bringing up Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano's history in order to keep telling this story revolving to Tommaso Ciampa, how he's the puppet master who manipulated and turned Johnny Gargano into the monster that he's become, which makes sense because all it takes is one bad day. But in Tommaso Ciampa's case, it just took him like 6 months. It took 6 months of making bad days for him to turn Johnny Gargano into a full-fledged villain. So the Joker wins on this. So yeah, and yeah, Tommaso Ciampa. I can't tell if that was the injured knee area where Aleister Black was hurt. I think that was it, but I think that was the injury that got him out of the NXT Brooklyn match. But yeah, if that was the injured area, I will just say why. Like, I get Vince has the fetish, but not you, Triple H. You know what it's like to have an injured knee. The torn quad incident. Like, seriously, that was torn off completely. And a lot of people like to say it really affected his wrestling maneuvers and style going forward after he came back. But moving on from that, Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black, they had a hell of a match, but it wasn't as good as their NXT TakeOver match, their NXT match on TV, on the network, I mean. And yeah, it was insane at parts. It was crazy, but if they were really to go ahead, I think the problem with when comparing it to the NXT match they had on NXT TV, I think the problem stems from the fact that whereas you knew Aleister Black was going to lose this match, but you didn't know he would lose on on NXT non-takeover event to lose to Tommaso Ciampa. Like, if this was a takeover event, people would be like, well, that makes sense. But yeah, but they also brought up the fact that Aleister Black had not lost yet in a takeover match. And if they brought that up more in the commentary, that probably would have given this psychological edge they could have put in. They never brought it up. People had to find that out on their own. But yeah, Tommaso Ciampa, after 4 fairy tale ending moves, ultimately defeats Aleister Black, thus ending Aleister Black's time on NXT on the A show, and will be subsequently either demoted to the B show or the very, 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 very freaking F show. I seriously hope he's at least demoted to the B show so he can make that an A show again. But yeah, SmackDown Live would probably be his best bet. Plus, I'd love to see Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black. So, yeah. This match was great. NXT TakeOver once again hits the mark with spectacular shows. I want to see how this goes next, and especially how it all ended. You see, at the end of the event, they did the fake out credit thing, and it reveals Johnny Gargano coming out and raising the title with Tommaso Ciampa. Have they realigned? Has the dark side clouded Johnny Gargano's mind finally? Has the new 2-man power trip finally formed? Yeah, something tells me that might be where they're going with this. That DIY is going to basically be what Austin and Triple H was supposed to be. Be that team of villains, the best heels they got, in order to capture all the titles and become the next gold team. And I would actually kind of love to see the heel reformed DIY take on the War Raiders as the main event in a winner take all match at NXT TakeOver New York come WrestleMania weekend. So I really hope they do that, but something tells me that's not really going to happen. So there's a lot of intrigue. Like, some people speculate it might be champion versus champion match, winner take all. But honestly, if they could find a way, they could really make this go out two more takeovers. Have the April event be the winner take all move where Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa become NXT Tag Team Champions with their NXT North American World titles, and ultimately lose it on a random episode of NXT, then ultimately begin the dissension process and lead to the two fighting in a winner take all match. And also a loser leaves NXT match, because let's be real, after that kind of story they do, what's really left for them to do in NXT? They would have to be called up. So yeah, NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Pretty awesome show. I can't wait what's going to happen on the next set of NXT programming. Royal Rumble weekend is here, everybody. Let's see how they possibly... Royal Rumble has a chance to tie up with NXT, but it's Vince. He can find a way to screw things up. So, those were my thoughts on NXT TakeOver Phoenix, Arizona. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more. And too sweet.